Hello, you're watching For the Win. I'm Melissa Idris. I have with me on the show, our regular guest is back, Shankar Santhiram. He's the managing consultant of EQTD Consulting, joining us on the show. This is episode number 6 out of a 10-part series. We're back at Common Ground in Menara KL33. It's a co-working space, a beautiful space here today. And we want to talk a little bit about the quality of our workplace relationships, right, Shankar? So, let's do a quick recap of the past 5 episodes. So we talked about purpose and the need to identify a purpose, and then you kind of need to have a hope-filled attitude. So once you've identified the purpose in your work life, your attitude aligns itself to that purpose.
We also talked about having confidence last week.
Confidence last week, exactly. That's part of the that good attitude to have for success. Now, the next stage to that is building quality relationships, because at the end of the day, Shankar, everything about to do with our happiness, satisfaction, company loyalty, productivity, it all boils down to the quality of relationships we build with people in our workplace, right?
Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, we're talking about success consciousness as in this 10-part, 10-episode series that I'm doing with you. And thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for not firing me.
We crossed the halfway mark.
Oh, good.
Yes.
So I have survived.
You have.
Are we beyond the point of no return anymore? So I've got to finish
so.
the 10 now.
I think so.
Excellent.
I'm in too deep now.
So, see, I've just kind of nailed you to do this. Yes. You start off with purpose. Your purpose determines your attitude. Right? Your purpose always determines your attitude. So when we talked about confidence last week, we talked about the difference between having a confident attitude and being arrogant.
Right.
And a purpose-fueled, and a purpose-filled life, a purpose-filled direction that you take for your career, a purpose-filled direction that you take for example, your relationships with your spouses, your partners, your business associates, or even your colleagues will determine what your attitude is.
Right.
Like in a marriage, for example, and my wife and I have had lots of time to discuss this.
Okay.
I discussed this one day. We some years ago, we've been together for 12 years now. Some years ago, we found ourselves being in a really kind of difficult spot in our relationship where we regularly argued.
Okay.
And we thought, this is no longer fun now. There's fun arguments that you pick with your partner and then you make up after that and it's nice and everything is fine. Then you have these arguments that linger and stay on for a really long time, and then it affects the efficacy of the relationship and the marriage. And we were going through this, and one day we sat and said, we've got to do something about this. Because if not, we're going down this dark alley that we may not come out from, or we won't bounce back from this. And we talked about this and we realized it was to do with our purpose.
Oh.
And we realized that we only argued about 2 or 3 things.
Okay.
Pretty much in the 100 things that brought us together, it was only 2 or 3 things that we argued about, right? And when we looked at those 2 or 3 things, when we examined those 2 or 3 things, we realized also that essentially our purpose for those things were different.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, I'll just without going into too much personal detail about my marriage, and the problems that I had. It's not a therapy session for me. And my wife will be watching this, and I'm going to get a smack at home right now while this is airing. I know someone's beating me up right now. For example, our attitude towards work, right? So my wife is extremely driven in what she does, right? So she's a veterinarian. But about 10 years ago, she decided to move into holistic medicine. So she does traditional Chinese medicine. She's the only certified animal acupuncturist in Malaysia, so on and so forth. Now, but because it's a new burgeoning field, it requires her to put tremendous amount of effort and energy in actually physically being in the clinic.
Okay.
Right? And the other thing that happens is, the amount of trauma and grief that happens when your pet dies, that gets translated onto the doctor who's treating. So there's a lot of sorrow that she has to deal with, right? Okay. So she comes back from work at 6 o'clock in the evening. She is spent, right? I, on the other hand, have spent the whole day empowering people through my coaching. So I'm tired, but I'm tired in a different way.
With a high.
I'm tired with a high. I'm ready to hey, let's talk about how amazing I am, So this is how every evening started. So my wife will come back home.
Oh, poor Susie.
She's come back home all, slightly withdrawn because it was just tired. And emotionally, she became emotionally distraught with all the stuff that happened. And then there was me bouncing off the walls, like I just had a sugar rush. I've just had too much of Haribo, for example, shoved myself with gummy bears and I'm ready for a night out with the wife. But we realized that this is causing a tremendous amount of trouble. Our attitude was always different.
The purpose to work, towards work.
Well, the purpose in the relationship itself was difficult, right? Because the purpose drive determines your attitude all the time. So we had to recalibrate. So I had to understand that whilst my purpose when I came back from work was to revel in my successes that particular day, I had to be acutely aware that my wife's purpose is completely different. She had to come and she had to calm down and she had to deal with her emotional stuff and recalibrate before she was in a place to accept my craziness.
Okay.
Right? So which required me to taper down my craziness. And the purpose was to have a harmonious life. The purpose was to have a...
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Right? Yes.
Right? Whereas the times when we had a lot of difficulty was essentially because, why are you not, why can't you be happy for me? Why can't you be happy that I did a great job today? Why are you always bringing me down? So these are the kinds of things that went through my head. And first, why can't you understand that I'm tired? Why can't you understand that, my job is so emotionally distraughting? It's distraughting a word, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well,
maybe we just coined it, right? So it's
why
a Shankarism
not?
right now, right? Because it's an emotionally distraughtful job. I'm not sure. I'm fumbling around with this.
Emotionally distressing.
Challenging.
Yes. Okay.
Emotionally challenging. So you had to find that balance. Now, the moment our purpose got aligned, we found that our attitude was easy. So she would come back and know that I need to be exuberant. And I knew when she came back from work, when we met at 6 o'clock in the evening, I couldn't be exuberant, that she needed to recalibrate. Now that has become our modus in terms of our ability. And this purpose drive changed our attitude. The attitude is the one that helped us build a stronger relationship.
I see. So the basis of every quality relationship is to make sure you align your purpose.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So we're going to come back and talk about how you can build quality relationships at your workplace. Right here on For the Win. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back. I'm Melissa Idris. You're watching For the Win. Shankar Santhiram is here with me. He's from EQTD Consulting. Again.
He's here again.
This is week number 6, Shankar. Always pleasure to have you. Now we're talking about building quality relationships in the workplace.
Okay.
For me, it's a given that we need to have a good relationship with the people we work with because we spend so much time with them.
All our time.
Exactly.
More time with them than with anybody else, I think.
It's true. Yeah. So why is it important to make sure we invest time and effort in building those quality relationships?
We take those relationships for granted because we know that we need relationships at the workplace. So a line leader knows that he or she is only as good as that one layer below them. I think everyone understands this because the people who can mess your life up completely are that one layer below. So here, as we're shooting this, our camera people are the ones that can mess up the entire show right now, right? But I hope you don't.
But they're professional enough to make sure that it's all good, all good and running.
And I'm messing around because I'm moving positions, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I can see everyone running around behind trying to adjust the cameras to get it right. But you see that one layer below us, the layer that actually works with us, that one group below us are the ones that make us shine or make us look really bad.
Yeah.
And every time you don't understand this and you take someone for granted, they don't perform because it comes back to purpose again, right? So if my purpose is so clear in the office when I come to my organization that I have my needs in life, I know my direction, and this is where I want to go, and then you will find that these people don't get affected by the machinations in an organization. They don't get affected by what's going on inside because they're very driven themselves. Right. And we see that in the people that we work with. We can see that some people are so unfazed by everything.
Yeah, they block out the noise.
And they just do, and they're really good at what they do. Now, I would love to work with people like this.
Yes.
People who work with me who don't get affected by my mood swings are fantastic because I have mood swings. And I come into work some days and I'm just not up for it.
Okay.
I'm not up for it. So that day I might be less forgiving. That day I might be less inclined to banter.
A bit more irritable, perhaps.
A bit more irritating and irritable.
We all have those days,
right?
Yes.
Now, the people who are driven by purpose are the ones who don't get affected by that. They see me beyond just that.
Okay.
They know the full spectrum of who I am as their line leader. Now, that's the utopian ideal of what we want at work, but we don't get that.
Right. So,
it's because we don't get that. Right. That's why it is important for us to actively create environments in an organization that helps develop relationships.
Okay.
Right? So this thing, right? Team building programs. We talked about this.
About that.
And I'm always quite disparaging about team building programs. And sometimes I get into major arguments with HR directors who tell me that we need team building. I say, my fundamental problem is not about team building. My problem is how these team building programs are conducted and why we do it. You do it because you want to rah-rah everyone. You want to G them up, right? So you take them somewhere, climb mountains, do this, do that, whatever else, right? And you think that's going to bring people together. What makes things work? You will help someone that you like. You will always help someone that you like.
Of course, it's innate.
It's innate. I mean, I've been on TV shows in the past. I enjoy doing this more than anything else. And I'm not just sucking up to you right now. But honestly, I do, because you and I are friends. We have a relationship.
Right.
And because it is important for me to perform well so that you also look good. That's important for me.
Okay.
And that becomes an important part. And this success...
So you want to help me because you like me, we have a good relationship.
And we'll put this in inverted commas. The success of this program, I don't know whether it's successful or not. The success of this program is very much dependent on your relationship with me, my relationship with you. We spend a lot of time bantering and talking, and we speak like friends because we are friends.
Right.
And that's the deal.
Okay.
When you're with a friend, you open up a lot more. When you're with a friend that you trust and you have regard for, you perform better. You are more authentic in everything that you do. You are much more honest. And you know what, Melissa, with you, I will tell you, like before we start our segment, sometimes we have a discussion. I say, I don't want to talk about that. I don't know how to answer that. Do you know what I mean?
You can be honest with me.
I can be completely because you're my friend.
Right.
Now, if I wasn't your friend, I'll go like, okay, so the host, Melissa Idris, has asked me to do this.
And
I can I have to not come out like an idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. So I'm going to say, okay, I'll wing it. And you'll find that the quality of that show will be terrible in comparison to this show.
Okay.
Because of that relationship. And that's why it's important.
I get that. And I think what I wanted to come back to was something that you said about purpose. So we are both aligned. Our purpose, both aligned. We want to create the best show possible and the best conversations so that people can have takeaways to take with them at the end of the show.
Yes.
But when you're at work, isn't it a given that everyone has the same purpose?
Yeah.
So is that, when you're talking about being purpose driven, doesn't everyone come to work having the same purpose?
When we set up our organizations, that's what we want.
Right.
When we give our town halls on a monthly basis, that's what we want. When we send out our memos to our team at team building, we do that. When we have strategy meetings at the beginning of the year and end of the year, budget meetings, that's what we want. But I can tell you it does not happen, and that's why I have a job. All right, I have a job, Melissa. I'm looking straight at the camera. I have a job because this doesn't happen. Please don't do it. I want a job. I want to carry on coming and helping organizations. So don't get it right. All right, that's why I have a job. And this is honestly, I'm making light of this, but this is essentially what I get invited to in organizations. People get me in and say, my team is not aligned. My team is not aligned.
Okay.
Team alignment. Driving client centricity, finding purpose at work. Leadership, you know what I mean? My one-on-one coaching is that people don't want to step up to the plate, right? What, is this because these people are all purposeless?
No, it's just not aligned.
It's not aligned.
Okay.
And that alignment only comes when you understand that we have functional relationships with each other at work. In order for you to look good today in this show, I have to look and do my part, right? In order for me to look good with you on this show, I know that I have a functional relationship with you that needs to be delivered properly. Now, if we can connect with that, we will always produce great results. Okay.
So when people don't have the best relationships in the workplace, it's often because they take for granted your colleagues for granted. Your purpose is not aligned.
Completely. But completely incongruous with each other. Pachanga, as you say, runs in different directions. Right?
So what can be done?
Anger. That's the other thing. I don't like you.
That's
a major drama in every organization.
That's a really good point because sometimes I just don't like his face.
Face. You know, some people you meet, right? First time in your life you meet them and you feel like, you know, you've known them all your life.
Right.
Then the other people you meet for the first time in your life and they have a face you want to slap. Do you know that face I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The face you want to kapow and then run away. You know,
Right.
because you know you don't know why. You don't really know why. You know, so we have. This is because we are organic. All of us are organic human beings. We have all sorts of dramas going on in our head, emotional upheavals, all sorts of other things. You know,
Right.
my wife is not so nice to me in the my dog barks at me the wrong way before I come to work. I'm not happy. My cat didn't want to have its meal last night and it's sick. Whatever, you know. My children are late, don't wake up, and I rush. I drive to work this morning, and you know this is the the organic nature of humanity
Right.
is that we are affected, right? So instead of this old school philosophy where you know when we were all
Leave
younger,
your problems at the door.
yes, where what, you think you can leave your problems outside? I mean, like this is nonsense. If anybody tells me to leave my problems outside, my problems follow me around like a shadow. Right?
Yeah.
The only thing I need to learn how to do is I need to learn to manage my problems and be able to stop myself from falling into that trap. And in an 8-hour workday, we discussed this a few weeks ago. People are not working for 8 hours. There's a lot of downtime that we have, right? We just need to manage our downtime
Okay,
and
all right.
understand that relationships are totally vital. Creating relationships are totally vital in a workplace.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk a little bit about what you can do to make sure that you create the best quality relationships at your workplace. After this on For the Win. Thank you for staying with us. This is For the Win. I'm Melissa Idris with Shankar Santhiram of EQTD Consulting, talking about quality relationships in the workplace. Now, Shankar, a lot of people leave their jobs in their workplaces because they just don't get along with some people, and it becomes untenable, right? So, for instance, I've left a job previously because I, just felt like I couldn't get along with company culture, with the people there.
It doesn't resonate with you.
It doesn't resonate with me. So I think that I'm probably not the only one. So people tend to leave because of relationships, right?
Everyone leaves an organization. Very rarely do you leave the organization. Because what is an organization but a collection of people? Right?
Yeah.
So you're actually leaving people.
You're breaking up with people.
Breaking up. And I right now, over the past couple of months, I've had people leaving my organization. And as much as they try and paste over it and tell me that, my aspirations have changed and I want to do something else with my life. Okay, all that's good, all that's fantastic.
But
I
what
agree.
they really mean
What
is?
they really mean is I don't want to work for you anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to work with you anymore.
With you?
With you.
Okay.
I don't want to work for you and with you.
Okay.
Right? What you are offering me, I might like you as a person, but I don't find it empowering as a job. It could be that. What your modality of work, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat me, I don't like. Also,
Okay.
I mean that's what we're actually saying.
Right.
I'm moving. Why would you leave a job if not? Right?
Okay.
Unless someone pays you 30-40% more than what you're getting paid right now.
Yeah, but even that, sometimes money is not consideration. If you're
It's not the only
happy,
thing.
if you have friends in the workplace, if you
Absolutely.
consider it family, away from family, you tend to stay. I mean, that's part of the
Absolutely.
consideration.
And in 2002, and I use this in my training programs, in 2002, some 15, 18 years ago, the Australian Business Council went to the University of Sydney and said, can you kind of figure out what makes an excellent workplace?
Okay.
Right? So the researchers from the University of Sydney picked, if I'm not mistaken, 8 industries and picked best in class. So they picked the best bank in terms of results, picked the best mining company, broadcaster, hospital, university, went and did research, went and spent time in these institutions and organizations, spoke to people, looked at their methods of management, looked at internal communication protocols, sat through meetings.
Wow.
They then also did exit interviews with people who were leaving at that time or people who were retiring, look at the way they hired new people, so on and so forth. And after about a year, they produced this report, which is presented to the Australian Business Council, where they identified 15 drivers of what makes an excellent workplace. An excellent workplace, a good workplace, right? And they numbered them, number 1 to number 15. They said all 15 are important, but they also prioritized 1 to 15, right? So money, for example, we talked about money,
Yes.
right? Now, money was in that list. Money was one of the 15, but money didn't come out at the top, didn't come out at number 1. Money also didn't come out at number 15.
Okay.
Money came
Somewhere
smack in the middle at number 8.
Oh, wow.
Interesting, right?
That is interesting. That means it's not the topmost consideration.
But it's not the worst also.
Yeah,
it is
it's
a
there.
consideration. It must be off the table. Like that
Okay.
mustn't, like if I'm paying you too little money, that will constantly annoy you. Because, your self-worth gets,
You question your
you think-
self-worth. What
you think, why
what is
am I
my
doing
value
this?
to this company? Okay.
I don't feel good about this, especially if you have a certain sense of self-confidence and self-efficacy, it becomes harder.
Right.
Because then you question yourself all the time, I'm not getting paid enough, I'm not getting paid enough,
Yeah.
right? So as long as you take it off the table, it's done, right?
Okay.
You know what number 1 was?
No.
The quality of workplace relationships. So, all the viewers, look around you tomorrow when you go to work in the morning, tomorrow Tuesday morning when you get to work, right? The day before we break for Raya holidays, right? Look around. If you like the people that you work with, you're going to deliver better results. If everybody around you think is an idiot, it's going to be a problem. You know what I mean?
But you don't have to love everyone in the workplace,
it's
right?
not about loving or liking. It's
Okay.
essentially having good quality workplace relationships. I think we mistake, when I have a good quality, when I go to my mama restaurant to order my mee goreng, I have a good relationship with the guy who fries the noodles. I'm not his friend.
Okay, you
Right.
wouldn't invite him to,
No, I don't invite him home.
a wedding or whatever, yeah.
Whatever. If I'm having a birthday party for myself or whatever, he's
Okay.
not the guy I will invite. But he's my
But a
friend.
good
He's an
relationship.
acquaintance that I have a decent relationship with.
respectful.
Respectful, with regard, with some honor, and I treat him with dignity. So when I walk in, I remember his name. I'll say, hey, how are you? What's happening? Are you all right? I go to this particular butcher to buy all my meat, and I know Wasim from Pakistan is the guy who actually is the butcher behind. So I will call him and I'll say, Wasim, Mr. Shankar here. What do you have today? You have grain-fed, you have grass-fed, or
Okay.
how's the marbling like? You know what I mean? Right, so he'll look at the piece of meat and tell me I've got this piece of lamb, which is amazing, great marbling, or
So
whatever.
a good relationship is someone that you respect, that you have a regard for, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be best friends with everyone you
Functional
work with.
relationship.
Okay, all right.
So Wasim needs me to come regularly in order for him to tell his owner in the butchery that, see boss, people like me, they come to
Right.
me, and when Wasim is not there, when somebody else answers the phone and I say, hey, where's Wasim? I'd like to speak to him. That news goes back to his boss, right? That customers look for Wasim,
Okay.
right? For example. So now the boss goes like, Wasim has become an important part of my organization because customers look for him, right? So Wasim gets that. So Wasim treats me really well because he thinks that I'm going to put in a good word for him. I'm not putting in a good word for him. I'm just responding to his kindness and niceness, right?
Okay.
And this is what functional relationships are. The moment you don't understand that you need people around you, the moment you don't understand that you need other people to perform well in their roles and responsibilities in order for you to shine, then you will fail. And the only way they will perform really well is your performance needs to help them as well. So it
Okay.
is, again, this symbiotic,
yeah,
cyclical relationships that we have with people.
Right.
And the more we understand this, the faster we understand this,
Okay.
the better our results become.
So if you're in a situation where, a relationship in the office has broken down or isn't the best quality workplace relationship, the way to fix that would be to figure out how your performance can help their performance,
Yes.
and then how do you repair that?
Both of you need to understand that you might not like each other, but we both need to function effectively in order for both our purpose drives to be met.
Okay.
Right, so I need to come to you if I don't like you, and I don't think we'll ever fall out. But if we do, right? If we do, we're like, you know what, Mel, we were friends. Not friends anymore with you. Don't really like you that much anymore because you've changed and I've changed. But you know what? In order for us to continue this TV show, we need to pretend to be happy when we're in front of the cameras.
Right.
So we have to keep that energy. And you know what? You'll be able to do it and I'll be able to do it only because we both are driven by
Purpose. We want the best possible show.
So
I
you
see.
create relationships, and that is not being manipulative, or that's not cheating or lying. That's just being pragmatic about what you need in your life.
Yes.
Instead of saying, oh, I can't work with her.
Okay.
Oh, do you know what? I'm not going to be on Astro if Melissa is going to interview me. What kind of
Okay.
nonsense is that? They'll drop me and say, you're not that important, Mr. Santhiram. You know what I mean? We'll find some other consultant to come and speak. Yes?
Okay.
So I think this is where then people go like, oh, oh, that didn't work out for me, or this didn't work out. You become a victim.
Okay.
Play the victim all the time. Don't play the victim. Be clear about what your purpose is. Get whatever you want, and be happy in the process.
Okay. So building good quality relationships with everyone you work with, in the workplace, is vital for your own success,
your own performance ratios, and you know what? Along the way, if you become friends, very nice.
Even better.
Even better.
So I want to come back. I want to invite you back on the show, Shankar, to talk about how those building blocks of building good quality relationships actually help foster teamwork. So we talked a little bit about these team buildings, but those are the building blocks, right? The respect and regard for somebody else's work.
Respect and regard
to
and
build teamwork.
Functionality.
Exactly. We're going to come back on For the Win in a future episode, so make sure you tune in next week. I'm Melissa Idris signing off for this week. You've been watching For the Win. Thank you.